Hey man, I don't ever want to hear any Adam Peters disrespect ever from anybody in the Commanders fan base or any fan base outside of the Commanders, man. This boy is something different over there, man. The Washington Commanders have traded Sam Howell to the Seattle Seahawks for 2 pick swaps. We're gonna, of course, break down, did the Washington Commanders win this trade? How much did those pick swaps actually add up in value, as far as what did we net, as in the Commanders, from trading away Sam Howell? Also, of course, quarterback at number 2 is obvious. We're going to break down why it always was obvious and there was never really much of a chance of a trade back anyway, especially with the free agency moves that we've made the past few days. Even before trading away Sam Howell, you knew we were not trading back. We were taking quarterback, and you could kind of even say that we knew that even before this legal tampering period and free agency period started. So here comes Jayden Daniels or Drake May, or maybe even Caleb Williams. I mean, how many picks do the Commanders now have in the top 100 picks? Is this a move to potentially put together a package to trade up to number 1 overall? And also, of course, I'm going to give y'all a full updated list of all of the Washington Commanders 2024 NFL draft picks. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at this from every angle possible. We're going to talk about Sam Howell. We're going to talk about potential quarterbacks, the betting odds favorite to go to the number 2 overall pick for the Washington Commanders, all of that. But before we dive into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. And I'm also pulling up some Twitter surveys on what Commanders fans are voting on and who they prefer with that number 2 overall pick at this point. And no more trade back scenarios, no more Marvin Harrison Jr., Olu Fashanu, whatever. It's purely quarterbacks, so we're gonna come with that towards the end of the video as well. But also, man, make sure you stay tuned, because y'all know me, man. I'm keeping y'all updated on every little thing that the Commanders will do. I know I've seen Jamison Crowder get signed, I've seen F.A. Obata, I've seen a lot of updates going around right now, but I've just been struggling to try to keep up. As I'm working on one video, another thing happens. I start working on that one, and then this one just completely put all of the other ones on the back burner. But trust me, believe me when I say that I'm coming with videos with every single person that we've signed, and also a really interesting corner that we may be targeting. So stay tuned for that later on today. But we got to get to the Sam Howell stuff first. Again, your one-stop shop for everything Commanders, because again, I'm doing a video on every little report, every little rumor, and every little signing or any type of roster move that the Commanders make. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get to this video. I'm excited. Let's get it. Before we got started, I should have thanked Julie for the big time PayPal donation. Much love. And then also shouts out to Mark, and shouts out to Freddie, and shouts out to Shaka for the big time Cash App donations. Again, if y'all donate in between me doing videos and not while I'm like live streaming or something for everybody else to see, I feel like the least I can do is thank y'all in my next upcoming video. So again, I really appreciate y'all, and I see y'all messages too. I see all of the messages when y'all donate, and some of them are hilarious, but I also really appreciate the support and the compliments and everything. Much love to all of y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all. All right, so Commanders Twitter and really much of NFL Twitter pretty much descended into immediate chaos once Adam Schefter tweeted another quarterback trade. Commanders are sending last year's starter Sam Howell to the Seahawks in a pick swap per sources. Seahawks receive Howell, a 4th round pick, 102nd overall, a 6th round pick, 179th overall, and the Commanders receive a 3rd round pick, 78th overall, and a 5th round pick, 152nd overall. Whoo-wee. Of course, we're going to talk about what those picks actually mean. And I went to like the NFL draft value chart for trades and things like that and broke down exactly what we netted. We're going to get there. But there has been a lot of quarterback movement lately, man. I guess it's because this upcoming quarterback draft is so rich with quarterback talent. You see guys like Desmond Ridder getting traded. You saw Mac Jones somehow go for something. incredible. I mean, there's been a lot of quarterback movement, and a lot of those guys we're going to talk about at the end of this video how terrible that 2022 quarterback class really was. But also a couple of these other ones with Mac Jones and Justin Fields struggling to get traded right now, that one may not be too much better. But it's definitely not as bad as the 2022 one. Again, we're going to talk about that later and where everybody's basically ended up from that draft class. And the Sam Howell era is, of course, over in Washington. And I'm definitely one of those people that believes he has some talent to him. And I'm happy that he's going somewhere that he could actually have a legitimate chance to show it. Drew Lock went to, I believe, the Giants. I'm assuming there was a lot of quarterback movement. Kind of really couldn't keep up with all of it, but I'm almost sure Drew Lock ended up going to the Giants, which I was pretty sad about. I would have preferred Drew Lock over like a Marcus Mariota. So shouts out to the Giants for that one. But now Sam Howell immediately steps in as quarterback 2 for the Seattle Seahawks, and Geno Smith is good, but I can see a scenario where Sam Howell ends up starting over him eventually. It may not be this season, but maybe on down the road when they don't want to pay Geno Smith big money and a new contract or something like that. So this is definitely a better shot at him starting than him for being here. So this is everybody's mutually wins here. The Seattle Seahawks are happy. They potentially get technically a guy with some franchise quarterback potential to him. Sam Howell's happy because he's going to a better situation for him to potentially start as soon as possible. Maybe there are other situations around the NFL that would have been better and a clearer path for him to earn starting quarterback opportunities and things like that. But it definitely wasn't the Commanders, and the Seattle Seahawks are definitely a better situation for him. And then, of course, the Commanders, we are super happy. But, of course, there was no question that Sam Howell was going to get moved, man. It never should have been a question. I was higher on Sam Howell than most people, but quarterback at number 2 overall was always the answer. Once we finally lost that game against the Cowboys, and then whatever happened to the Patriots and their schedule to where we ended up finally earning officially the 2nd overall pick instead of the 3rd overall pick, and even with the 3rd overall pick, but especially with the 2nd, we already knew that we were going quarterback immediately since back then in January. Then they went through all of this work in free agency the last few days to fill in as many holes as possible for this team. They didn't go through and fill up all of these weaknesses that we have and put us in a situation where we can go into the draft and get best player available rather than super addressing need. Like, we can go into this draft and get who we want, not necessarily who we need at a particular position. They didn't go through all of that work and then go get Marcus Mariota as a backup quarterback on a contract that's potentially can work all the way up to $10 million in 1 year just to trade back. They did not go through all of that to potentially keep Sam Howell around. But I'm not gonna lie, with Desmond Ridder, sorry self, going for Rondale Moore, far more than I expected. I just think Desmond Ridder is almost pointless at quarterback. I mean, he literally gave us that game against the Falcons last year that I went to, and I really appreciate you. Honestly, I shouldn't even call you sorry because I'm so thankful that you gave me that game. You gave me bragging rights over all of my Falcons fans friends for a whole nother year, man. So I appreciate you, Desmond Ridder, but you're not it. So I didn't expect him to end up going for even a Rondale Moore in value. So I was expecting Sam Howell to easily go for more than that. At least something more simple and direct than a pick swap, like a couple of pick swaps like we ended up doing. But I'm not mad about the compensation at all. And if anything, we just moved up 1 round higher for each of those 2 draft picks that we just gave away. And I personally prefer those upgraded draft picks over a receiver like how the Falcons got. I mean, I feel like we do still need receivers, but I prefer to take the picks, especially with Adam Peters in our corner making those selections with those picks. Remember, Fred Warner, 3rd round, George Kittle, Talanoa Hufanga, and all of those guys, 5th round, like all pros and pro bowlers all throughout the draft, 5th, 4th, 6th, 7th rounds, all over the place. So with a guy like that picking for you, you'll take the draft picks over a player that another team drafted pretty much any day of the week, unless that's like a star player. And at the end of the day, we got Sam Howell with the 5th round pick. So this is a pretty decent flip here. And to put it into perspective, according to the draft value trade chart, and I was like, man, because I went through all of the work to like do these calculations myself. I went to and it didn't take long, but I took the time to actually go through the draft value trade chart and match up the picks, and then add and subtract them to come out with the net value that we ended up gaining for trading away Sam Howell, basically. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm on Twitter and I see somebody else already said exactly what I calculated. So I could have just waited a little bit longer and I could have had the answer myself right there. But I'm still happy that I went through the process of doing it myself. That way I know, like, for a fact, based on my own calculations, this is what we got for him. But we technically traded him for the total net value of a late 3rd round pick, y'all. I don't think y'all understand. I don't think y'all are hearing me right now. If you add up the pick value that they gave us and subtract the trade value that we gave them, essentially we traded Sam Howell for 118.8 points on that draft value trade chart worth of draft pick value, which is the equivalent to basically the 96th pick in the NFL draft. So we technically traded Sam Howell for the 96th pick in the NFL draft according to trade value terms. So if you want to look at it that way, Adam Peters is different, y'all. To trade Sam Howell for a late 3rd is kind of wild. I was hoping we could potentially get that. We were seeing that maybe the Jets would be interested. We were seeing reports all over the place the past like month that people would be interested. But hey, man, I didn't expect for him to actually end up going for a 3rd. I just did a report and a video like a couple of days ago talking about how 2 NFL teams at the combine, some of their executives literally said they would at the minimum be willing to give up a 4th for Sam Howell. And this looks like this is basically on pace with that. And somehow Adam Peters even went a round higher than that. Shouts out to him, man. And also shouts out to my boys at the 10 Top Podcast because they tweeted this and I completely agree. Adam Peters isn't trying to take shortcuts, but he's also not wasting any time. It's really like the perfect blend, if you ask me. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this kind of activity in 4 days. I love it. And hey, man, I mean, this is really, honestly, if you want to give the most credit to anybody, this is the Josh Harris situation. Because remember, when we were trying to get a general manager like an Adam Peters who we ended up hiring, remember that process was known as like the perfect blend of quick, but also very thorough. And then now Adam Peters is taking that Josh Harris spirit and applying it to roster turnover for this team right now, and I love it. And I came into this offseason with high expectations for Adam Peters, and somehow he's even exceeded those. So I mean, I would have never, I've told y'all that we were really turning into something great once Dan Snyder finally sold the team. We got Josh Harris as the owner, we got Adam Peters as the GM, and everything else was falling into place. I've been telling y'all we would be a free agency destination. Y'all see that from these past few days. I've been telling y'all that we finally have grown men, actual professionals and geniuses running the organization and making decisions for how we build this roster up and things like that. And now that's starting to come into fruition as well. And again, with all of those predictions that I've been making for the past few months, they're even exceeding my expectations beyond that. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, it honestly feels like we're dreaming. I really hope I just don't wake up one day and Dan Snyder's still the owner, man. Please, no, take me out of that simulation. But I like the fact that Adam Peters, on top of all of this, it kind of looks like he kind of finessed the Seahawks, or at least their fans, into basically giving up a 3rd round pick on the slick, like on the slide, because it allows Seahawks fans to kind of like not completely go chaotic and riot over the situation because they didn't give up a 3rd round pick directly. As a Seahawks fan, all you're seeing is that you got a potential franchise quarterback for a couple of late round draft pick swaps. But as Commanders fans, we know we're looking from our end like, yeah, we basically just traded y'all Sam Howell for a 3rd round pick. And if a Seattle Seahawks fan were to see that they gave up a 3rd round pick for a 5th round pick a couple of years ago, they would probably be upset about that. So shouts out to Adam Peters. I don't know if that was deliberate, but I love how manipulative that is, man. I like that finesse right there. The mind games that we're playing, I love that. But again, when you break it all the way down, the fact that we traded away Sam Howell for a 3rd round pick, even though I was hoping that could happen and I was starting to believe that it could happen, is still amazing, man. And it follows perfectly with the reports that I've been giving y'all in multiple videos the last month, coming from different sources and things like that. So basically, at the end of the day, Adam Peters came in here and flipped a Rivera 5th round pick into a Dan Quinn 3rd round pick. Like, come on, bro. This boy trapping out the NFL right now, man. This boy doing magic tricks over here, man. And hey, man, honestly, when you really look at it, I know this is technically not what happened, but just for fun purposes, let's just live a little. We basically just flipped Sam Howell for a 3rd round pick and Bobby Wagner. So, hey, man, I love what we got going on right now this offseason. We're winning for sure. I'm literally working on a video right now talking about whether the Commanders won the entire offseason so far, at least free agency wise, because we have like national analysts all over the place that normally don't even acknowledge our existence, even talking about how we've won free agency so far. You have Pro Football Focus giving us an A grade, all of that type of stuff. So I'm going to compile all of the different national analysts talking about how well we've been doing so far this offseason and talking about how we've been winning it. So be on the lookout for that video later on down the line, maybe a couple of days from now. Once things finally calm down, and then things just skyrocket and become even more chaotic. And I can also see the argument, though, for keeping Sam Howell. I can see it. I can admit it. I honestly can, but at the same time, Adam Peters and his new regime had no attachment at all whatsoever to Sam Howell. They owed him nothing. They didn't draft him, so they had every right to move on from him if they wanted to. A new regime with new everything. Let's talk about it. New owner, new GM, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new literally almost everybody has the right to make whatever decisions and changes that they want to make once they take over. It doesn't matter what it is. And then even though I do like Sam Howell more than most people, I didn't think he did anywhere near enough last year to make it at least a hard decision for Adam Peters and company. This was always destined to happen once Adam Peters officially became our GM. I mean, to be completely honest with you, Ron Rivera still being our head coach was probably your best hope for Sam Howell sticking around at least for another year. If you wanted Sam Howell to stick around longer, that means you probably would have had to root for Ron Rivera to keep his job and Martin Mayhew to continue being our GM. And I know y'all don't want that, so let's keep it pushing. Also, shouts out to JP Finley for bringing this up. Anybody that thought the new operation was sticking with Sam was only seeing what they wanted to see. Peters even said it at the combine. And that's a good point, man. He did. I mean, you kind of had to look through the tea leaves and things like that. But he basically said, yeah, Sam Howell's up out of here. We need a new quarterback. I want my own better Brock Purdy is basically what he said at the combine. But now let's move on. We're done with Howell for a while. Let's look at the future of the Commanders rather than the past of the Commanders. What are our updated draft picks right now? Because it's really nice, man. So right now we have the 1st round pick of 2nd overall, 2 second-round picks, a 36th and a 40th overall. Then in the 3rd round, we have a 67th, a 78th, and a 99th, technically a 100th. We'll talk about that soon. Then in the 5th round, we have a 139th, a 152nd, and then in the 7th round, we have the 222nd draft pick. And technically, the NFL apologized and announced that the 99th overall pick that we got from trading Chase Young away to the 49ers has actually now become the 100th pick because they made some type of mistake with their equations and their method, their algorithm of even coming up with comp picks and things like that. They like apologized to the Bengals and gave them one of the earlier ones, like something that was ahead of us. I think they gave them like the 97th, which moved us down from 99 to 100. So first of all, my first thought was, wait, the NFL apologizes? But also, I don't really care that much. It's only like a 1-pick difference, but I feel like most people probably didn't see that update amongst all of this other chaos that the Commanders have going on and really just the NFL in general. So I just felt like this was kind of the perfect time to share that with y'all. Just in case if you weren't aware, the Commanders' 99th pick that we got for Chase Young has technically moved down to like the 100th, I believe. So now when you're taking a look at our picks, we have 1 first, 2nd overall, ridiculous. And then that's also 2 seconds, 3 thirds, no 4th, but 2 5ths. And you can't forget that 2nd overall pick. Did I mention we had a 2nd overall pick? Maybe I mentioned we had a 2nd overall pick. So now the Commanders have 6 picks in the top 100 picks, y'all. That is absolutely insane, man. That is some crazy draft value right there. So speaking of draft value, with all of that ammo, are Adam Peters and Cliff Kingsbury in the back whipping up something filthy? Are they cooking something up wicked right now? Because, like, maybe they're trying to get a certain DC native. Maybe you could say we're not done trading draft picks around. You never know, man. I mean, to be completely honest, don't sleep. Remember, the Bears only have 5 draft picks in this entire draft coming up, and they don't feel like they're just like ready to win now mode right now. And they're also struggling to trade away Justin Fields. They may end up having to stick with them. Even if they do end up potentially more than likely getting Caleb Williams, I'm not going to assume that they're not taking Caleb Williams, but still, no matter what, it's looking like they're potentially going to end up having to keep Justin Fields. So, hey man, why not just keep Justin Fields? You only have 5 draft picks. The Bears are vulnerable right now. Adam Peters may be able to come in and save the day for the Bears. You know what I'm saying? Help them out. We'll do you a favor. You only have 5 draft picks. Here, take a few of these, man. We'll take that first overall pick off your hands. You know what I'm saying? Nice doing business with you. No take backsies, though. No take backsies. But, I mean, honestly, I'm so high on Jayden Daniels and Drake Maye, and I personally prefer a Jayden Daniels over Drake Maye. But either way, I'm so high on those guys that I wouldn't be willing to give up a ridiculous amount of value just to move up to get Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is my #1 overall quarterback for sure. He's my favorite quarterback in the draft, but I don't feel like the gap between him and Jayden Daniels is big enough for us to potentially have to sell the whole farm to potentially get him. But who knows, man? If we ended up doing it, I will be excited either way. If we walk away with this draft with either of the top 3 quarterbacks, I'm extremely excited. But of course, Jayden Daniels with the draft picks is probably my #1 option. And then, I don't know, man. I like Drake Maye a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not one of those people that's a Jayden Daniels fan that just hates Drake Maye. I love them both. I would be happy to get either of the 3. But I'm not gonna lie, man. Especially for decent value to where we don't have to give up too many picks, potentially trading up to get Caleb Williams does sound really fun. I'm not gonna lie. But we'll start to get into that later. I still have a lot more tape to watch on these guys. So I don't even have like a final opinion on these guys yet, to be completely honest. That will come with time as we're getting closer and closer to the draft process. But right now, we're so focused on free agency and trades going around right now. That's later. But I can't wait to start focusing on the draft primarily. We can start getting to some film sessions, all of that type of stuff. I'm super excited. But even if they aren't potentially trading up to Caleb Williams, just to let y'all know, Jayden Daniels is now the new betting favorite to be the #2 overall pick in the draft. And Drake Maye held that title for months. It was like since going back probably over a year ago that Drake Maye was supposed to be the #2 overall draft pick. And then once we finally got the #2 overall draft pick at the end of the season, Drake Maye was officially the betting odds favorite for that pick as well. And then now for the first time in months, and arguably technically, depending on how you look at it, over a year, Jayden Daniels has now officially overtaken Drake Maye for the highest odds to be our #2 selection in this upcoming draft. As of March 12th, Jayden Daniels has a -115 odds. Drake Maye has a -105, which isn't that big of a difference, but still. Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow +1,000. Caleb Williams is +1,000. Interesting. JJ McCarthy is +1,800. I'm not gonna lie, Caleb Williams odds may go up. It may not surpass Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels, but it will probably go past Marvin Harrison now with the trade value draft picks that we have, especially if you calculate the fact that the Bears only have 5 draft picks and they're still relatively rebuilding as well. Now, what I take from this is that, is there fire where there's smoke? Because we've gotten to the point where lately people are starting to think Jayden Daniels to the Commanders is a super no-brainer. Like, Phil Yates, Mel Kiper said it like that. Chris Sims said it like that. Dan Orlovsky. I did a whole video on how basically the NFL national media and the NFL world are basically giving up and turning their backs on Drake Maye. And a lot of these guys are not only saying that Jayden Daniels should go to the Commanders #2 overall, a lot of them are making it seem like it's just automatic, like, duh, no brainer. What's next? What else is there to talk about type of thing? It's getting to the point now where the debate isn't whether it's like Drake Maye versus Jayden Daniels. Is more so like Drake Maye versus JJ McCarthy at this point. Like, is Drake Maye even going to be the 3rd quarterback taken? More so than is he going to be the 2nd one? Like, is it even potentially a chance that he could end up being the 4th one taken after JJ McCarthy? I don't know what's going on. A lot of this is Lion season, but there's a lot of momentum going, man. It is absolutely crazy. But now to do some little survey checks, shouts out to Rico's Rag, and this is very recent, just as of 4:15 p.m., less than an hour ago that I'm recording this. It's 5:07 p.m. Eastern time. He asks, so choose, just straight up, Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, that's it. Out of 503 votes, 63% picked Jayden Daniels and 37% picked Drake Maye, just to give y'all that update. And then Kevin Sheehan, He did a survey of his own, and you know he has a bigger following. So he asked, with Howell no longer an option for the Howlers, who do you want? And then that was kind of funny how he said the Howlers. He kind of hated there. He gave you Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, or other. Out of 1,244 votes so far, and by the end of this, is going to be a ridiculous amount of votes. And this is within just the past 20 minutes that I'm recording this now. 1,244 votes. Jayden Daniels is number one at 40%. Caleb Williams is second at 33.6%. So I'm assuming that means that a lot of people now, especially with the additional draft value that we've gained from trading away Sam Howell, are more open to potentially trading a bunch of picks to move up to get Caleb Williams. And then Drake Maye is third with 21.8%, and then other is still 4.6%. So I'm assuming that's trade back or get somebody else, Marvin Harrison, whatever. But also, again, like I spoke on earlier briefly, what's going on with Chicago right now, man? Even Desmond Ridder and Mac Jones got traded for some picks. I don't know if the Bears are asking for too much. I don't know if teams just straight up don't like Justin Fields that much. But hey, man, shouts out to us, because the move Sam Howell for basically a late third round pick when Justin Fields is struggling to move at all is really interesting. And right now, I mean, when you're looking around, Justin Fields, the only team that could potentially even maybe want you at this point is the Denver Broncos, because the Vikings are clearly trying to do whatever it takes to potentially get like a JJ McCarthy, with them bringing over Sam Darnold to be his backup. We already know with the type of time the Patriots are on, they brought in a Jacoby Brissett. Maybe they're willing to take like a more of an experiment type of quarterback, because Jacoby Brissett can start immediately, like versus Marcus Mariota, who's our backup quarterback right now, and Sam Darnold, who's the assumed backup quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Those guys, I don't see an NFL team being comfortable with them starting for even 1 week of this upcoming regular season. Those guys are pure backups only in case of injury. But in the Patriots case, Jacoby Brissett can start some games for you until that quarterback is ready to go. So maybe the Patriots are willing to trade back out of that number 3 overall pick to get like a more raw but talented guy. Maybe a guy that's not as highly regarded as like a Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, or a Caleb Williams, or even a JJ McCarthy. Maybe they're willing to take their chances with like a Bo Nix, or even JJ McCarthy. He's pretty toolsy, and he also doesn't have a big sample size, so maybe they're targeting JJ McCarthy third overall. Let Jacoby Brissett until JJ McCarthy learns and develops and gets better and is ready to actually start. So who knows, man? It's chaos right now. But again, going back to Justin Fields, I guess the only team out there, really the Denver Broncos, that I could think of off the top of my head that like truly obviously want a quarterback, and they may not even like him. If that's the market, that's ugly for the Bears. I'm not gonna lie. They are probably, like I said earlier, gonna end up keeping them. But now, I do want to personally take some time to thank Sam Howell. I am very happy about that third round pick that we basically just netted, but I am still one of those guys that feels like he does have the talent to potentially end up being a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. And I feel like the Commanders did him wrong more than he did us wrong. Like, I feel like they failed him more than he failed us, to be completely different. But at the same time, you can't have the number 2 overall pick and pass up on a chance to potentially get Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye, or maybe even Caleb Williams. You know, you're trying to whisper that a little bit, just throw that out there. You just can't, though. And I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. This is the first time I've ever even considered thinking about going to the draft, for the draft, like actually being there physically. I believe it's in Detroit, so we'll see, man. But also, before we get up out of here, that 2022 draft class was atrocious, dog. Maybe one of the worst in recent memory, to be completely honest with you. Kenny Pickett, likely quarterback 2 backup in 2024, had 13 touchdowns and 25 starts. Desmond Ridder, awful, traded. Malik Willis hasn't even really gotten that many chances. Third string quarterback on the Tennessee Titans. Matt Corral, cut. I forgot he existed. Bailey Zappi, I mean, I guess he may stick around in New England, but he's definitely at best quarterback 2. They're potentially taking a quarterback in this upcoming draft, so at best he'll be quarterback 3. They may even cut him. And then now Sam Howell, who was taken as the last person out of that group of people, was officially traded. So if anything, technically we netted the best results, technically, because Sam Howell was the only one taken in the 5th round. Kenny Pickett was first, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, and Matt Corral third, Bailey Zappi in the 4th, Sam Howell was the one taken last out of that entire group, and he netted a late third. So technically, we won that draft. Even though Sam Howell didn't end up actually being a franchise quarterback for us specifically, even though I do feel like he still has some talent in the right situation to potentially be that for another team, maybe the Seahawks. But at the end of the day, the Commanders technically, out of all of those bad quarterback picks, ended up technically winning out of that group of 6 teams. I'll take it, man. I will take it. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please let me know how y'all feel about this trade, because this is crazy. This is about to set the internet on fire. I need to hurry up and get this uploaded as soon as possible, because I just want to get on Twitter and see what everybody's saying, man. And of course, I definitely need to get in the comment section and read and reply to as many as y'all as possible, because I cannot wait, even more so than Twitter. I really can't wait to get to this comment section and see how y'all feel here. So, man, I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Again, I'm keeping y'all updated on every little thing. So even though I'm skipping around, I still haven't talked about Jamison Crowder, F.A. Obata, or any other guy that we've signed today, or that linebacker. I'm forgetting his name right now, but I'm working on that one as well. We had to get this Sam Howell one out the way first. This is breaking news, but I promise you I'm getting to those other ones as well. I'm giving y'all videos for every single person we sign, so stay tuned. I really appreciate y'all. Shouts out to, oh, my fault again, man. I keep doing this. Shouts out to everybody that donated, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. Y'all really do not get it. I should have done this before I even started the video. I keep doing this. I keep remembering at the end of the video, then I gotta edit it and place it at the beginning of the video as well. But either way, man, before we got started, I should have thanked Julie for the big time PayPal donation. Much love. And then also shouts out to Mark, and shouts out to Freddie, and shouts out to Shaka for the big time Cash App donations. Again, if y'all donate in between me doing videos and not while I'm like live streaming or something for everybody else to see, I feel like the least I can do is thank y'all in my next upcoming video. So again, I really appreciate y'all, and I see y'all messages too. I see all of the messages when y'all donate, and some of them are hilarious, but I also really appreciate the support and the compliments and everything. Much love to all of y'all, man. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.